Hey everyone, Joe Ramsey here, excited to dive into the last resource share that we have for our class. I've really enjoyed watching all of your videos and looking at all of your resources throughout the summer, and I hope that you've enjoyed watching and learning about mine as well. So this week, we're learning about Extension and 4-H and some of the other organizations that support agriculture education and also do agriculture education in maybe a more informal setting out in the community. And I was really interested to learn a little bit more about the role of extension agents and what they do, and thought that it would be fun to try to find some articles or resources that kind of compare some of the things that we talk about in the agriculture education world with some of the things that our friends in 4-H and Extension are doing as well. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen to show you the article that I found for this week. So this article is a little dated. It's from 1993, but it was from the Journal of Agriculture Education. And I think that a lot of the points that are shared within this article hold true today here in 2022. So this article is titled Adult Learning Preferences, a Profile of Extension Educators. So it's looking at the preferences of folks that work in extension and how they prefer to learn. And that can kind of equate sometimes to our leadership abilities and the way that we interact with others and how we see things in the world. So the article is pretty fascinating. It goes on and talks about their methods, and essentially they had a variety of different cooperative extension county staff members throughout the state of Pennsylvania take this instrument. It consisted of about 300 educators total. They essentially took the learning style inventory that Kolb developed, and I believe we talked about that a little bit earlier this semester. But the four main continuums, if you will, for Kolb's learning model are abstract conceptualization, concrete experience, active experimentation, and reflective observation. So this instrument essentially places you on a continuum between your abstract conceptualization and concrete experience, and then again with your active experimentation versus your reflective observation, and it plots you in one of four quadrants. So we did this actually in my teaching methods classes in undergrad, and I found it to be very insightful to learn a little bit more about my learning preferences so that I can be aware of that in the classroom, because sometimes when we, for example, are convergers or accommodators, it might be a little bit more normal or more easy for us to accommodate to those learning styles and easier to forget about the other ones. So it's important to recognize our preferences in the classroom before entering it so that we can better serve our students. But from the extension standpoint, I think it's interesting that they were able to take this instrument to learn a little bit more about their learning preferences as well, so they can show up and be present for their youth and their community members that they're working with. So according to the study, the majority of participants were in the accommodator or converger sector, which to me makes a lot of sense, because active experimentation, we can see over on the left-hand side of this diagram over here, versus reflective observation. Now, I personally enjoy reflecting. I think reflecting on what we're doing is very important, but I'm definitely the type of person who's going to go in and try to fix something or do a project and get their hands dirty and try again and continue working and troubleshooting myself. And sometimes I can forget to step back and reflect and observe some of the things that I'm doing and how I can improve. I like to go in and experiment and try new things. And I think that's true of a lot of people who work in agriculture and in education as well, because we're constantly trying to be involved and experiment and make things better. So I was not very surprised to see that a lot of people were leaning towards the left on this percentile, closer to the active experimentation range. People were split between AEC, which again stands for abstract conceptualization versus concrete experience up here. So generally we found ourselves more in the accommodator converger area. And again, I found this to be interesting because by being aware of our learning preferences, or by, in this case, by the extension agents being aware of their learning preferences, hopefully they can show up and be better prepared to help their stakeholders or youth or whoever they may find themselves working with. So the study basically goes on and breaks it down by extension personnel versus agents. And it does a nice job kind of laying out some of the statistics and trends that they found. And I know that extension plays a huge role, not only in land-grant universities and community awareness of agriculture, but also within our own programs. There's a lot of potential to partner with Extension and 4-H. And I find it very fascinating, the awesome partnership that Florida extension agents have with the land grants and with the appointments that the professors have at the University of Florida, being partly extension for a lot of them. I think that's really neat and something that I wish that we had up here in Minnesota, because I think that's a really unique partnership to tap into. So I'm very interested in learning about this topic this week, and I hope that this resource was interesting for those of us who are in the classroom to kind of draw some of the connections that we may have had from our methods classes and with what we're doing in 4-H and extension. So with that, thank you very much for a great semester, and I look forward to connecting with you all again in the future. Take care.